everybody, today I'm tying a McCrab, deer hair crab fly, permit fly. In the smaller sizes it can be quite productive for bonefish as well. So I'm tying a size 2, although you can tie them bigger. So I've put a S11 S3H size 2 in the knife, and I'm just going to run on some tan thread. I'm using 6/0 for the size 2, but if I was tying them bigger, you know, here's a 2/0 that's just waiting to get trimmed. Then I would use, you know, 3/0 or monocord or something. Yeah, I'll tie them up to 2/0. I'm actually tying these. I'm tying these for myself. I'm going to the Yucatan in December, and I'm tying look, 2 sizes, size 2, size 2/0. That's what the guide that I've booked sort of suggested, so I'll go with that. 2 seems like it's quite a small crab fly. So I've just figurated on a set of medium lead dumbbells for the size 2. It's just quite a heavily weighted fly. And I'm going to tie in the tail. And I'm using, well, this is just the last of it. It's Spirit River Mottle Boo. It's a marabou, sort of, I don't know, tie-dyed, and it comes strung. It looks sort of like a foxtail when you buy it. I'm just finishing this pack. Got another one lying out somewhere. I should have. No, you'll just need to take my word for it. Spirit River Mottle Boo. I'll put a link in the description. I love it though. It's, as you can see, like instead of just like tan, it's you've got tan, light brown, nearly white, dark brown. It's a lovely mix of colours, and I'm a big fan of that, and any sort of imitative natural fly, you know, like natural stuff, natural things are not all one colour. So just grabbed a bunch of that. I'm tying it, and I'm drawing it down so that it sort of encapsulates the shank, because it's 360, nice full coverage. And then I'm just going to tidy all of this up with my thread, make sure it's a nice smooth base, because it makes it much easier for you to spin your deer hair. So I'm going to finish this around the eyes, just to help tighten up and snap it, and then I'm going to give it a generous slathering with some super glue, Zappa Gap. Right. And I'm going to just quickly swap it. I'll set that there to dry. And I'll come back with this. It's just one I prepared earlier. I find it's a lot quicker if I tie the tails first and then do the deer hair work in one go. It means you can let everything dry as well. You know, you're not going to let tie just one probably anyway, so you might as well try to keep the deer hair and stuff together. And I'm just going to, so I've cut off a fairly generous bunch of deer hair. I'm just using whitetail, but you can use whatever you like. Any kind of spinning hair is fine. And I've just combed out any of the kind of fuzz from the bottom. So, starting my thread, unwinding it, take it right back to the tie-in point of the tail, and then I don't stack it. I just trim the tips, and then I'll just, spinning deer hair is a lot easier than a lot of people seem to think. Just a couple of loose turns around the bunch, and then just pull and just encourage it round. It will go. You know, don't be afraid of it. If you get in it, it's going to stick in there. Just sometimes the hair sort of tangles around the shank at this first bunch, and you can just use your scissor tips just to make sure it's nice and free and it spins, and just run your thread through the butts just to secure it. Get your thread to the front, and you've got a bit of play here. You can help it to spin. Just, you know, turn it in the vise just so you can see. Well, and then use your thumbnail and push everything back and get your thread in front. Take a couple of tight wraps to hold it, and make sure it's not crushing your tail, because that would be a weak point. You know, some of the dressing could start to fall apart. Right, and then basically we just repeat the process, going down the body. I don't bother trimming the tips for any of the subsequent bunches. Doesn't really make any difference. From now on, I just like, it's a bit more manageable around the bend of the hook, that first bunch, if you cut the tip. Same again, 1, 2. Let it spin, and then you need to pack it. Right. What I notice when I see a lot of commercially tied deer hair crabs, or some other deer hair crabs that I've seen people making, they don't pack the deer hair enough. I don't know if it's maybe because they're worried about the buoyancy or whatever, but if you trim it nice and tight, it's not a problem. So just what I did there, I just had my thumbnail and I gripped. Actually, I can feel the hook in there, and I'm gripping it, and I'm just compressing that bunch back as hard as I can. Right, and I'll just pull it back and get a few wraps in front. You could use a metal packer, but because this is quite thick, where I've tied the marabou along the shank. The metal the packers don't always sort of fit that well because they're designed for a bare shank, like if you were tying a bass bug. So another bunch. And just again, just make sure you comb any of the sort of fuzz out of the butts of your deer here. And you don't need, you don't need GSP or anything. Like, I'm just using 6/0 uni, and I'm getting a nice coverage, nice spun deer here. You just need to sort of know how much pressure your thread can take and just push it. Again, just compressing that here. And as you get towards the eye, you might start like, I don't know if I can get 2 full bunches in there. In fact, I don't think I can. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with a slightly smaller bunch, because it's easier to get a nice sort of full bunch in behind the eye, and get it to spin, rather than trying to spin a small amount tight to the dumbbells. So it's a slightly thinner bunch, maybe about half a pencil or so. So you can see it looks like it's filling it, but it's no. Whereas if you tried for a thicker one, it would be too much and you wouldn't have room to get a good bunch in here. So that's, if you think you're not going to have enough for, depends on the thickness of the bunches you use, but if you think you're not going to have enough to get 2 whole bunches in as you get towards it, always check, that don't just go right up to the last bunch and go, oh no, I can't get it in. If you sort of make sure first, alright, well, based on the amount of coverage you're getting per clump, go for a smaller clump on your second to last, and it'll help you get it'll make your life easier when you put your final fully spun bunch in behind the dumbbells. So I'm back to my sort of original large thick clump. And I'm still forcing that in behind the eyes, just using the thread to take it round. So I'll give it a quick check, and then I'm going to, same again, just push it back. And you can put quite a bit of force. You don't need to be shy. You can really push it. The deer here can take it. So that's the spinning done, and I'm just going to stack a bunch right on top here just to hide the dumbbell from the top view. So again, give it a wee comb out, get the fluff away. Now this time I don't want it to spin, I just want it to sit on top. So a bit like if you were tying a slider, just a nice open loose turn, another one. And then if you hold the tips and just pull straight down with your thread, it will sort of flare it like that. And then you can run your thread through the butts a few times just to help hold everything in. again, I'm keeping my thread wraps behind the dumbbells, and then I'll just come in front, throw in a couple of whip finishes. I'm just doing this by hand because it's a bit awkward trying to get in with the tool. Make sure the thread's in there. Always throw 2 in, just for security. And I'll trim that. And then I'll come in with some more Zap-A-Gap all the whip finishes and just let it soak into the wraps over the dumbbells again, just doesn't do any harm. So that's the tie-in done basically. Now it's time to trim it. Right, so you can use a razor or you can use scissors. I'm just using scissors for most of the trimming. The first couple of cuts I like to use a razor, and I just use a double-edged razor blade. Just need to be careful and just grip it and just go along the bottom. Right, it's still a bit. You want this nice and tight to the shank. Right, because you don't want any buoyancy in the, you know, the buoyancy of the deer hair can fight the weighting. You don't want that, so make sure you get it nice and tight. You can see there I've trimmed it near enough into the tying point. You don't need to worry because you're going to. This is all going to be quite heavily glued and all that anyway, so it's not really going to affect the durability of the fly. So I just like to sort of make sure the fibres are sort of sticking out, and then I just put a slight curve. Into it, just sort of helps you get that wee sort of rounded crab shape. Now, I'm going to I'll take it out of the vise just to let me see it a bit better. And then I'll use my scissors. You can sort of do a bit of fine sculpting with a razor blade. On the edges if you need to, but I just use it for the first couple of cuts because it gives you a nice sort of smooth top and bottom. Just watch you don't trim your marabou. No, it'd be a shame to ruin it after all. You've done all this work so far. So I just fold it and use my finger to hold it against the side that I'm not cutting. Cut a rough sort of crabby shape. And when you're reasonably happy, you can trim it forever. It's hard to know when to call it a day. So when you're reasonably happy with your shape, sort of, if you've got a wee sort of lozenge shape, that's fine. You can move on to getting the legs and all that stuck on. So the first thing's got to be the eyes. I just like to cut a wee groove or two, well, 2 wee grooves into the hair, just so I can sort of position them a bit easier. And then I'll just get some super glue on that. And this is, I'm just using a crab eye that I've made. You could use the EP eyes if you want it. And I just like the eyes just to sit. You can see there, they're just... Oh. You watch, you don't drop them. Get that in a minute. You want them just sticking beyond the edge of the deer here. Slather that with super glue, and then just pull the nylon into it so that it grips. And then the next second eye. Same again, just pull it in. It will eventually take. Sometimes it fights you a wee bit. Right. And then for a bit of extra security, I just brush over the top of it and then down into the other side, just to give it something to grip. Just tap it with your thumb. Now I'll come in and just trim these bits away that I don't need. And then I'm going to stick the claws and legs on in much the same way. So I'll start with the claws. I've pre-made these, just it's just rubber band. Just a small rubber band, tied a knot in it, trimmed it to a sort of wee claw shape. So you just sort of eyeball where you want it to go. A bit more super glue. just touch it on. The legs are a lot easier than the eyes to stick. Don't like that. Just noticed a wee bit of mist there. It's not a very good base for gluing on it. So same again. Right. This one just needs it could do a wee reposition. There we go. That's better. And then we'll stick the 4 legs off the back. Make sure you get it sitting the way you want it, and try not to stick it to your fingers too much. And if it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't just seem to position the way you want it first time. Just grab it and put it the way you like it. Don't let the don't let the material tell you where it's going. So you tell it. So that's it. I've got my 4 legs and my 2 claws, and that's the worst of it. I'm just going to trim those ends just to give me a sort of nicer finish later, and then just to make sure everything's sort of held securely in place, I'm going to come in with some UV glue, UV resin. This is clear cure goo. I'm actually just sort of using this to finish it off. I generally use Loon. I switch to Loon because it's just better. It absolutely never yellows, and I just like it better. and the Loon is completely tack free. This is actually the Flex, the Clear Cure Goo Flex that I'm using, and it does. I mean, it does a good job for this, but I've found often that it yellows if it's not solid. You know, if you use it like as a skin, I find it will go yellow in the sun quite easily, which is not ideal. So I'm just giving it a nice wee coating. Make sure it's fairly, try to get it reasonably smooth. And then just come in and zap it with your light. Good. And basically, the last thing that's left to do is just to seal that. And I'm just going to use white nail polish. A matte white nail polish, just to sort of represent the white belly. Like crabs have usually got the white underside, and that, you know, you don't need to worry about any tack or anything from the Clear Cure Goo or your UV resin. If it was Loon, I'd be using just the fly paint. Just get that right in there. If you want to, you can colour up the legs a wee bit. You can see there I've got some speckles and stuff on it. What I like to do is I'll maybe just come in and get that a wee tidy up. Make sure it's just nice the way you like it. And then I'll come in and sort of add a bit of mottling with my marker, and that's it. If you're tying them bigger, like if you're tying them in a 2/0, what I like to do is I'll use the same size eyes, but when I put the resin in the belly, I like to mix some of the Loon tungsten powder into the belly, just to make sure it's, you know, plenty heavy enough for a, you know, a 2/0 crab's pretty big. It's quite a lot of deer here. But other than that, that's it. I hope you liked that. If you did, or if you didn't, please leave a comment below. Tell me the sort of stuff you'd like me to tie. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.